This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Wednesday, March 27th, 2024, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, it is the latest Iowa Ag News headlines, and then we also have Andy Petersen's conversation with Iowa Secretary of Agriculture Mike Naig and former United States Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue from the Celebration of Ag in Cedar Rapids. It is time now for our closing market summary.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined by Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. And Curt, we're going to get a lot of information tomorrow in the way of reports with that prospective plantings report, also the quarterly grain stocks and a hogs and pigs report. So what did we see happen in the markets today as we wait for all that information tomorrow?
Yeah, a lot of information overload. The computers will have it all figured out before we see the numbers, so we'll see what the aftermath brings for the most part. But today was kind of quiet, not a whole lot of new export news or anything like that. Commodity funds sold about 3,000 contracts of corn, 2,000 contracts of beans, and bought about 3,000 contracts of wheat going into midday, kind of maybe position themselves a little bit ahead of the reports there. As we move into the reports, the acreage report, average trade guess is about 91.7. The ag market team's about 91.5. The average trade guess on soybean acres, 86.5. The ag market team's just about 86.1. A lot of the estimates are 2 to 3 million acres up, 2 to 3 million acres down, as far as what they're looking for. When you look at the total acres, they're about in line. Last year, we had 178 million acres of corn and beans. USDA form said we'd have about 178.5 million acres of corn and beans. So we'll see what the total acres are and see how that shifts out. One observation, though, is everyone knows we have a good spring. The tendency is to have a few more corn acres or more acres in general. So we'll see what this weather brings, and that'll be the factor after we digest the acreage. The acreage numbers at the top of the supply-demand balance sheet. What affects that bottom line more than anything is what type of yield we put on that. And we've got a long ways to go on what type of yield estimate we're going to have clearing the next fall. Stocks, corn stocks are expected to be up over 1 billion bushels from a year ago. Bean stocks up about 140 million bushels from a year ago. So we're in a situation where we've got ample supplies here near term. Grain stocks, we'll look at the state breakdowns. What I'm picking up is we're probably underestimated the crop up in the Northwest. So we'll see what grain stocks we have on hand for the most part. Otherwise, the news, Baltimore Baltimore bridge being hit, collapsing. There's not any real export of grain going out of that region, but there is quite a bit of farm machinery that moves in and out of those ports. So we'll see what happens here. Kind of I don't know if you can call it. One concern is somebody said you can't do anything with that damage until we have an environmental study on the impact of what it would do to the environment, taking cleaning that mess up. So that news is going to be out of the marketplace here for quite some time. The other thing to watch will be tomorrow's weekly export sales report on Thursday morning there. Estimates are consistent. Corn sales 800 to 1.3 million metric tons, beans 300 to 700,000 tons. That's kind of standard routine business. We'll see what that has. That's at 7:30 ahead of tomorrow's report at 11. Just one other thing is weather. We got through the full moon here first part of the week. March is ending. It came in as a lamb. Maybe it's going out as a lion. But we have a 3-day weekend in the month, in the quarter. So we'll see how the market closes out tomorrow. Rain possible Easter Sunday. If you're old wives' tale, it could rain the next 7 Sundays. On the weekly charts, corn's down about 12 cents. Beans are steady lower. Wheat's down about 6 cents on the weeks, but boy, that's going to change tomorrow.
Curt, let's go over to the other side of the ag marketplace. What are we looking at with the livestock today?
Well, cattle stabilized. I don't know if it was the bird flu news or just overall general liquidation from the commodity funds. The cattle charts were quite supportive there, and we just saw everybody massively head to the sidelines there. But it's kind of scary about bird flu moving into other sectors of livestock. We'll see how that unfolds. Cattle's down about $4 for the week here. Any type of recovery backed up to resistance probably going to be sold here. Hog-wise, hogs are hanging in there for the week. As you mentioned, the hog and pig report, all hogs and pigs is expected to be about 100%. Kept for breeding, 97%. Kept for marketing, about 100.4. We'll see how the weight breakdowns occur. Heavier hogs are going to be a little lighter on numbers, and smaller pigs' weight's going to probably be a little bit more there. Main thing too is we're seeing less numbers, but pigs as far as overall, but pigs per litter are fairly strong there. So we'll see what we get here as we get the hog and pig report along with these grain reports here tomorrow.
And then, Curt, I just have one more question for you. After we get all that information tomorrow, we're then in the unique situation where we have the 3-day weekend due to Good Friday. So then we'll be back trading on Monday. So does that mean we should expect a lot of price movement on Monday? Or did we see all of the, everybody getting in line and getting their position squared ahead of going into these reports enough that won't be the case on Monday?
I think about everybody's where they want to be for the most part. These reports have been volatile, so if we do see any price changes, it will be well factored in right away tomorrow for the most part. The thing is, though, oftentimes if you have a big move up or big move down right after there's reports, you see some follow through for a few days. So yeah, we'll see what the numbers are, but more importantly, how the trade interprets these numbers. As you know, the commodity funds are huge shorts still, so any type of positive surprise will hopefully push market higher.
Well, Curt, thank you for all the great information here today. What's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
1-800-779-1515. That's our number here locally, but agmarket.net. Click on Intel. We'll have a lot of recaps on all these numbers for you tomorrow.
Curt, thanks so much for your time here today. We'll speak again soon. Have a great rest of your week.
Take care. Very good.
Thank you to Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net for our market summary. Let's turn now to the closing numbers, which can be found under the Markets tab on our website at iowaagnet.com.
May corn down 5 3/4 at 426 3/4. May soybeans down 6 1/2 at 1192 1/2. May soybean meal down 80 cents at 339 even. May soybean oil down 75 cents at 47.67. Chicago wheat up 4 even at 547 1/2. Minneapolis wheat up 3 3/4 at 651 even. Kansas City hard red wheat up 1 even at 579 1/4, and May oats down 2 1/2 at 355 even. On the Merc, April live cattle up 50 cents at 183.60. April feeder cattle up $1.42 at 246.87. April lean hogs up 52 cents at 86.10. April pork cutout up $1.55 at 95.50, and Class 3 milk is down 20 cents at 15.65.
And that's our ag market coverage for today. It's time now to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff. And up next, I will bring you the latest Iowa Ag News headlines.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
You are watching Ag Matters PM, and it is time for the latest Iowa Ag News headlines. A 230-acre farm in Grundy County, Iowa, owned continually by the same family since plows first turned ground in the prairies in the 1870s, has sold at a recent auction for almost $4 million. Successful Farming says the Iowa Century Farm is historically significant in the state and has some of Iowa's highest quality cropland. More than 91 acres, or 40% of the land, have a perfect 100 corn suitability rating, or CSR2. The overall weighted average for the land is still high at 95.2. According to Iowa State University, the average rating for the state is 68.4. Grundy County has the second highest average of Iowa's 99 counties at 86.9. Before the auction, tenant Paul Cook spoke to the crowd. The third-generation farmer said the family moved onto the farm in 1929 and has farmed the land for about 94 years. And he said, quote, "This is some of the state's best ground." Also, soybean cyst nematode is present in most areas where soybeans are grown, and that's certainly the case here in Iowa. Because nematodes feed on the roots of each plant, the damage is often difficult to detect with no above-ground symptoms. To help farmers do their jobs more efficiently, BASF has recently launched scnfields.com. It's a website that will provide farmers with SCN sampling results from more than 4,000 collected samples across the United States. Quote, "SCN is the leading cause of soybean yield loss in the United States, costing growers over 100 million bushels of yield and an estimated $1.5 billion annually," says Troy Bauer, BASF's senior technical field representative. Farmers need to test their fields to ensure SCN isn't becoming a problem without them realizing it, end quote. With scnfields.com, a farmer can see samples with high counts locally and know they need to take steps now to manage the threat of SCN. And you can see that by county data here in the state as well. Additionally, scnfields.com will help farmers with more information by visiting that website. It is time now on AM/PM for Andy Petersen's conversation with Iowa Secretary of Agriculture Mike Naig and former United States Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue from the Celebration of Ag in Cedar Rapids.
Guests of honor this evening at the 36th Celebration of Agriculture, Iowa Secretary of Agriculture Mike Naig, and our keynote speaker is two-term Georgia Governor, USDA Secretary Sonny Perdue. Welcome back to Iowa first, Mr. Secretary.
Always enjoyed visiting Iowa. Great people, great places, great food, great ag.
Yeah, speaking of that, your tie with the pigs is very appropriate
tonight.
Yeah, what's the story behind the tie?
Well, I was given a tie. Actually, I can't remember where, but I enjoy wearing it. It always gets attention, even in Georgia, when I wear the tie. So I think it's great. Love ag, so I love pork, and might as well show it.
Absolutely, we all do. Iowa's the #1 pork-producing state, as you like to point out often.
Well, that's right. That's right. This is, of course, Ag Week, and so we're celebrating the fact that agriculture drives our economy here in Iowa. #1 in pork, egg, corn, ethanol, biodiesel, and up there in soybean, beef, and turkey. So, we've got a lot to be proud of. Every Iowan benefits from a strong agriculture. So that's those are the types of things that we can be very, very proud of.
That's what I was going to ask you. Are those the types of conversations you've been having this week? Obviously, the Ag Leaders Dinner the other night, celebrating your mission at the beginning of the week was to celebrate agriculture, and I'm sure you've been leading that effort.
It is. It's about awareness, right? You want every Iowan to understand that and know that they benefit from it. But also, we need to drive home the fact that, you can't take that for granted. There's things you've got to make sure the conditions are right for agriculture to thrive and grow, that farms can expand and families can put down roots, and communities all across the state benefit from that. We also had a chance to visit with some young people just a little bit ago, FFA, 4-H, and you say, this is also about how are we doing on preparing the next generation to come behind all of us and make sure that they've got opportunities. And so it's all about creating some excitement and really just a spirit of celebration.
And you had the pleasure of representing all of our states in Washington, D.C. What did you enjoy about that? Tell us what that's like, because for most of us, it's a completely different environment.
Actually, what I enjoyed was getting around to all 50 states. We did it within 15 months because I think farmers, I like to say, they can read what you say, they can watch a video, but they really like to smell what you've been stepping in. So that's what we try to do, is to get around to all of our states and just visit with farmers and ranchers everywhere, and what I gained from that was a real holistic view of the ag all over the country. It's amazing. This is an amazing country. Ag, obviously, in Iowa is #1, but we got so much agriculture across this country. We're so blessed. And I'm just glad to be here to celebrate Ag Week.
You put it very well in the conversation with the 4-H and FFAers that Mike referenced. You can eat with the lights off, right? But if the lights are on and there's nothing to eat, that the lights don't do a whole lot of good.
That's right. No, we've got to be very conscious. The United States has been a leader in ag production for not only our country and the world, it's really been national security. When you realize that we are not food dependent on anywhere else in the world, that's amazing. That is strength, and we need to maintain that. As the Secretary just said, it just doesn't happen. We have to be careful about we establish the policies today that will sustain us for the future. Agriculture is vital. It's one of the necessary needs of mankind. And nothing's more critical than that. So we need to be very careful in public policy, state policy about protecting our agricultural environment and our agricultural institutions and our agricultural, particularly our farmers and ranchers.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly Iowa agriculture is in a better place because of your great leadership, so we appreciate that. Same to you, Mike, and thanks both for joining us for the 36th celebration of agriculture.
Thank you to Andy Petersen, Mike Naig, and also Sonny Perdue for joining us on the show. That brings us to the end of today's episode. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok. You can find our video content and previous episodes of AM/PM located on our YouTube channel. Don't forget as well our free twice daily market podcast, which are found on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Petersen, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.